In November of 2023, the Swell Pod took a 10-day journey across 5 states, traveling 3,580 miles with one challenge in mind.
And that challenge was to interview 100 pleasantly rebellious humans to uncover deep truths about what it takes to create something that has never existed before, challenge the status quo, maybe even change the world.
This is the Kiln Road Trip, created and produced by the Swell Pod.
In partnership with Kiln, Moterra Camper Vans, and sponsored by Taurus.
I'm Spencer McKeown.
And I'm Josh Taylor, and together we're the co-hosts of the Swell Pod and your guides on the Kiln Road Trip. Follow along on the journey.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, follow the Swell Pod on social media, and subscribe to your YouTube channel at, you guessed it, the Swell Pod.
This is interview 88 of the Kiln Road Trip, and today we're at Kiln Leucadia in California talking with Katie Fletcher. Katie is the founder and owner of Local Scoop, a plastic-free sustainable grocery store and refill shop. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you enjoy. Katie Fletcher, thank you for being on the Swell Pod for the Kiln Road Trip, where we're on a journey to interview 100 pleasantly rebellious people, and you are one of the 100.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Super happy to have you here. Appreciate you being flexible to try to make this work. It's going to actually kind of come down to the wire. So I think
cool.
Your interview is going to help us put us to that number, hopefully.
Yeah,
so.
we've been on the road for 10 days. So
Oh
just
my
like
gosh.
you've had a blur.
Yeah.
This is starting to be a blur, but we've enjoyed what the highlight is, just listening to people's insights, what they've been doing, why they've been doing it. And we want to ask you to introduce yourself, what you do and why you're doing it. What's the kind of background behind why you do what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I own Local Scoop, which is a package-free sustainable grocery store here in Encinitas. And I do it because I was born and raised here. I've been a taker from the ocean my whole life, getting to enjoy just being by the coast and doing everything I can in the ocean with my friends and family. So this is my little way of saying I want to protect it and preserve it and have it as beautiful as it is now for always.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so how long has it been open?
It's been open since January 5th of this year.
Whoa, that's cool.
It's coming up on a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, negotiating the lease, doing all the things right now, but it's been good.
That's awesome. And so where was like the impetus of the idea? Where did this kind of start?
Yeah, so I studied abroad 3 times in undergrad in Sydney, London, and Spain. And in all of those places, stores like this existed where you could come and refill your groceries without packaging or plastics. And I thought it was amazing. It made sense. It was affordable. There was cool, nutritious products that I absolutely loved. I was studying public health and nutrition, so I was eating it all up. And so I came back to San Diego, which was home, thinking it probably had always existed here. And I just hadn't known prior, but it didn't. For 5 years, I'd Google zero waste grocery or package free food.
Really?
It didn't exist. And I genuinely wanted to shop this way. So I just made it.
That's amazing. So yeah. And how long was that from the point of, I'm seeing this to I'm coming home and I don't see this existing to the point where it actually opened?
I think it was about 5 years. I was working different jobs starting around 2018, living here again. And then I worked my full-time job up until August of last year and signed the lease in December, opened in January, and here we are.
Left your full-time job at that point?
In August, yeah. I did it on the side, like evenings and weekends, just figuring out all the logistics for about 6 months.
Okay.
Like in February, March of 2022.
Yeah.
And then left in August.
Wow. And what did you do before this? What was your job?
A couple different things. I worked in research and plant-based nutrition research after school. And then I worked for a nutrition for surgery company here in Encinitas for another couple years after I got back. And then worked for like an optical startup, just being like, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm going to be in nutrition research forever. I didn't like the clinical setting. Applied for grad school. Got into my dream schools and was just not that thrilled. And I was like, I had this idea, it was nagging, and kind of decided it was a good time to try.
Cool. Yeah. And in the time that you've been open, what have some of the bigger challenges been?
Oh gosh, there's a lot. I mean, ultimately the inventory is perishable. So just managing expiration dates and wanting to genuinely move fresh product is probably the biggest stressor. And then just overcoming the barriers of having people not see this as an inconvenient way to shop and see like bringing your containers is literally the same as just bringing your bags. You can bring bags, you can bring anything. And it can take the same amount of time or less as a traditional grocery shopping experience. But that education curve is just new.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it's good. I'm patting a dog just for
We've
anyone.
got
Sorry,
Tuna.
she's gone rogue.
I know, tuna. Of course it's tuna.
The fish.
She's gorgeous. So I don't know. What were you about to ask a question?
No, it's interesting because I can imagine it's got to be a kind of a shift for people to kind of get used to that, right? I mean, it's not something that it seems like a little bit more difficult for me to walk in there first time and be able to do what I need to do. So like, what are you doing education wise to help people like maybe in their first experience? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my spiel to a T, and I think my staff does as well. You know, we just give them the option saying, hey, you can bring your own containers from home. We have free ones that have been donated and sanitized. We also have brown compostable bags that are compostable, recyclable.
Right.
You can use these if you're on the go or you don't have anything with you. We kind of provide every option and then walk them through it in like 15 seconds and let people decide. But once you do it once or twice, it's usually, exciting and fun, and kids love it. Kids come in there and I got their whole like it makes sense to kids even more than adults because they don't have to change their mentality quite as much or shift their behaviors, I suppose. But yeah, just kind of getting that first time customer to do like a full restock rather than just buying like, I don't know, one protein ball from the fridge or one thing to drink, just saying like you can really refill quite a bit here. We're just getting them in the door to begin with.
That's an interesting, the packaging side of things. So so maybe I'm not understanding it right, but so there's no packaging.
Yeah. Tell us about all the products that we would expect to see in there, because I've seen the pictures of this, but I can only, for some reason, I was explaining this to you, Josh, just cereal.
Yeah.
But there's obviously, you have dozens, well, I don't know how many products you have.
We have almost 500. I think probably more close to 300 of food. And then we have like a lot of the sustainable alternatives, like the bamboo brushes and the stainless steel water bottles, that kind of thing. But we have like all the different flowers and a lot of the like more high-end interesting flowers where people are often like, oh, I didn't want to buy 5 pounds of chickpea flour, but I want to try a little bit.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things have been great. We have beans, rice. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Tuna.
That is a first, and I'm glad it's a first.
That was awesome. No, it's all good. All good.
There are dog treats. We have refillable dog treats.
Yeah, there we go.
In a few flavors. And then what's really popular for us is our superfood wall. So we have things like acai and pitaya and ashwagandha, MCT oil, teas, coffee, granolas, protein powders, a lot of dried fruit, a lot of trail mix, and then pancake mix, pasta, udon noodles. It's really so simple. It's just the head scratch of like, I could bring my quinoa pasta box and refill with quinoa pasta again.
Yeah.
Like people just bring what they already have.
Yeah.
Refill.
The fact that like, so you mentioned the thing that stood out to me was like the kids being there and the kids getting it and the kids not seeing, the packaging, or us not seeing the packaging to influence our buying decisions too, which is interesting from a competitive advantage. I find that very interesting. So all these companies have just, I mean, is this something that they do, these brands that you've incorporated into your store? Are there other, so that there's no other stores that are doing this right now? Or was this a challenge trying to get them to have their products in your store without like in the way that it's there for the customer to buy? Right.
So 2 things there. Both are really interesting points. So the first is that we mainly work with wholesale vendors who are used to doing bulk. So they would maybe be selling to like a restaurant or some other bulk sort of style store. Because we are the first doing it in this area. So they're really used to sending things in big brown bags, compostable, 5 to 50 pounds. I don't really order in that big of quantities because we're so small. But other like specialty vendors, like I want to get very specific local granolas or something like that. It is like a one-on-one conversation. It usually takes quite a bit of time for them to put, 5-10 pounds aside for me and hand deliver it. But that's great. Then it's literally coming from Oceanside, driven down in a Prius by someone who cooked it in a commercial kitchen, and it's never packaged. It's in a reusable container, and then we fill our bins up and give it right back. That's like my absolute favorite. But every conversation with every vendor is different. And then to your point with the marketing. So actually my degree was officially in the history of science and medicine with the public health nutrition focus. And the reason I bring that up is because my thesis and a lot of my interest was in food marketing and the history of the FDA and how we regulate how food, i.e. unhealthy food, is marketed to kids. And it was something that I was very frustrated by. It's why my research was in DC, because I wanted to work at the policy level to have some better regulation on the way that we market these really unhealthy foods to really young kids.
Yeah.
In the same way that the cigarette industry did at one point. It's so analogous. So this is another opportunity to kind of strip that away. No Tony the Tiger on the bulk bins.
Yeah, right, exactly. Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, so where is the store? We should have gone down.
Maybe what time do you close tonight? Is
7.
It close? 7?
Yeah.
We could probably
Pop by and get a snack on your way. I'm going to go there straight from here.
It's just getting the B-roll, like, to be able to show, like, this is what it is. We've just interviewed you. We did that twice, didn't we, with 2 other companies in Boulder, Portland. So it'd be great to come down.
A package-free grocery in
No,
Portland. There is one. They're awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really, really cool one. But yeah, in Portland, there's one in Boulder.
Really?
Yeah, they're popping up. There's a good one in New Jersey. But bit by bit, food is a little complicated. There's a lot more of the home and body refill where you can go and do detergent, soaps, which we do as well. And we'll continue to add more of. Food, it's just low margins and highly perishable.
Yeah.
But it's still worth it, you know?
Yeah.
It's so good that you're doing that, though. It does it not bug you when you open a pack? Like, you buy something, and then what bugs me most is when it's something you within like an hour or whatever, 5 minutes maybe even, you finished the food and then you're just throwing away the wrapper. I don't have less of an issue when it's something that's lasting a year, sitting there holding it, but I probably should have an issue.
It's actually a really valid point. There are a lot of different timelines. Even one of our best-selling products in the store, these little energy protein balls. And so rather than buying like a protein bar and you have it for 5 minutes kind of thing, you can just fill up a little bag. People just eat them in the store and they're like, I ate 2, and I check them out. People walk around with them in their hands. The other day, this guy came in with this giant Yeti and I was like, oh, we don't have coffee, like fresh coffee. He's like, nope, I'm getting trail mix. And he just filled up his coffee cup and was on his way. Next door, he was doing work.
Wow.
So quick random. So what did your family think of you doing this?
What did they think of me doing the whole thing? They were super supportive. My dad, kind of more like, are you sure right now? Maybe reconsider. Like every month he'd be like, maybe later. But was totally supportive. And my mom loved it because they visited me when I was abroad too. And they saw how obsessed I was with these kinds of places. My sisters as well. So totally on board.
What was what's been one of the more kind of, I guess, exciting or surprising moments of you being open? And I don't know, anything interesting happened that kind of maybe was unexpected?
So many.
Yeah.
Like it's such an interesting thing that you can't explain to anyone else. Like the highest highs of my life and the lowest lows. I mean, the stress and the pressure is so intense, but the balance of people who come in tears and like, thank you for doing this in our community. Thank you for being here every week. And we had an incredible grand opening, a day I'll literally never forget in my life. And countless little moments. I've met friends. I've met just like, I don't know, the most incredible people, the most incredible conversations. I will always want to be in the store. It's hard to be in the store. I can't run the business in the store. It's loud. It's interrupted work. But I'm always there half the day because it helps make everything feel worth it when I meet these incredible people and they're so excited and it makes sense and they support your dream like to tears.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So every week.
That's incredible.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, very cool.
Because it seems like you're attracting, because it's different and it's value based, I suppose.
Yeah.
You're attracting people that have the same values as you. So you're attracting a small community. I'm always introducing the word community. What is next for you then? What like where do you see it from 5 years or whatever?
I think definitely expanding stores further and further up the coast. I think there's so many of these little beach communities that are intuitive, they're conscientious. So, you know, there's part of me that's like, why would I have one 5 miles away? But there's a reason there's a grocery store in every little town. And I'm there all the time listening to where customers are coming from. I'm so aware of what they want and I want to just move closer to each of them. So yeah, I don't want anything, no mega mansions, just like these little corner shops where people can choose to do something different with their dollar.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And how did you find yourself on this list of people to be interviewed? Like, is there any affiliation with Kiln? Have you worked out of a kiln previously, or
no? That would be
never?
amazing.
Yeah.
This is super cool. I actually didn't know where I was going at all.
Shame.
So a friend of mine, she works at the kiln in Solana Beach, and they get snacks in the office all the time. And so she connected me with the manager there and was like, hey, I'd love if some of our snacks weren't in plastic. What do you think of like going to refill them up the street, or I can deliver them too?
Yeah.
So those conversations are still ongoing. But when she came in, the manager, she was like, I've just been getting them in Costco in these giant plastic bins, and then they're in a bag and then in a box.
Yeah.
I would love to come get some here. So I hope it works out. It'd be so fun.
Interesting.
Is that Michaela?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we for the last question, we ask this to everybody that we've interviewed so far. What does it take to create something that has never existed before?
Ooh.
Before we get into the rest of the episode, we want to thank the partners and sponsors who made the Kiln Road Trip possible. The Kiln Road Trip is brought to you by Kiln. Kiln is a boutique co-working and flex office community with 13 locations in 6 states across the West, dedicated to providing innovative workspaces that empower your team to thrive. Whether you're a solo visionary or an enterprise-level team of up to 100, Kiln transcends being merely a place to work. It's a hub for learning and connecting with like-minded professionals that will make you and your team love where you work.
And if you haven't stepped foot inside a kiln yet, you really need to. On this road trip, we visited every single location, and trust us when we say once you see these beautifully designed spaces, meet the talented team, and connect with fellow members, you won't want to work anywhere else.
Locations include Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Oregon, California, and Arizona. And they're growing too, with multiple locations set to open in 2024.
Yeah, so be sure to check out the kiln locations nearest you by booking a tour at kiln.com and answer Swell in the question, how did you hear about us? Once you complete the tour, you'll be entered into a competition where you could win a 1-year membership, their club membership at Kiln.
Yep, you heard that. That's kiln.com, book a tour, and be sure to mention Swell in the question, how did you hear about us?
The Kiln Road Trip is also brought to you by Moterra Camper Vans, a luxury camper van rental company for iconic road trips. Their top-of-the-line vans are available at 7 locations located near America's best outdoor adventure destinations. They have consistently earned the highest customer ratings in the industry, making Moterra camper vans your gateway to adventure without sacrificing on comfort or service.
That's true, and initially we wanted to take this journey in a 1960s VW bus, but thankfully we found Moterra instead. With 3 van options, we took the Pop Top Classic, which sleeps 4 and is best for those who want to maximize floor space and storage. This was critical for us because it needed to sleep the entire crew, we needed space to edit, and we were traveling with large amounts of equipment, luggage, and other goodies that we picked up along the way.
And this van took us through all 3,580 miles of the trip. Super comfortable and sweet to drive.
And actually, Moterra offers fully planned itineraries if you'd rather leave the planning to someone else.
Visit gomoterra.com/swell. That's gomoterra.com/swell.
This episode is also brought to you by Taurus. Taurus is leading the charge in home energy storage. Taurus makes it easy to achieve energy independence and a greener tomorrow. The Taurus station provides everything you need to generate clean power, efficiently store electricity, and easily manage your energy use.
And installing a Taurus station offers plenty of benefits, including save money on your electricity bill,
also ensure energy security with backup power during outages,
reduce carbon emissions with renewables.
You can also automate EV charging and HVAC systems with 100% renewables.
And enjoy unrivaled system monitoring and support.
If you like the sound of those benefits, get a quote to build your Taurus station in less than 30 seconds. Super easy at taurus.co. That's TORUS.co. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Oh my gosh. I think definitely patience, knowing that if it never have existed before, it's going to cause a lot of people to scratch their head and be confused and give you a little criticism or whatever. But bit by bit, each month it gets better, and there's always a little light at the end of the tunnel. Each little phase has had a light at the end of each tunnel. People getting excited, and I don't know. I'm just still sitting in that patience phase. So that's all I could offer at this moment. And then just freaking do it. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I never knew what I was doing. When people ask, how'd you start? I don't even remember. I sprained my ankle. I was on the couch and I was like, I'll just make a logo. I don't know how to get my scale certified by the county and sign a year lease with the guarantee. I'm just figuring it out every day. But if you want your life to be interesting and every day to be different, just go for it, for sure.
That's
Is
perfect.
that a quote for the book?
100%. That's such a great
I
just
think
freaking do it.
I think you said freaking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I love
like
it,
you
yeah.
cannot. There's nothing anyone should say that makes you feel better. You shouldn't feel good. Like
Yeah.
you should feel scared and
Yeah.
afraid and excited and stoked. It's all part of it. It's definitely what you're signing up for.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Kiln Road Trip. Be sure to follow along on the rest of the journey, and you can do that in 2 ways. 1, subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or maybe even watching on YouTube, and follow along on all of our social media platforms, whether you're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok, at the Swell Pod. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.